So Andrew, tell us a little bit about recMate, your role in the industry at the moment, and, can you just hear a few of the insights you're currently seeing?
Yeah, so I'm Andrew from recMate, and we help recruiters with their recruitment tech. So if you've got any struggles with your CRM or associated platforms with your tech there, we don't do IT support, it's someone else's bag, but we can help streamline that acquisition through the post-placement care pathway. Yeah, it's been an interesting 12 months, let me tell you. 2024 is a bit of a blip, I think, for most recruiters. I was speaking to one recruiter, and he's 25 years of recruitment. He's had one goose egg month. He's had 2 this year. So it's been a pretty tough one, I think, still.
Well, that's crazy.
Overhang for 2025, but I think there's some rays of sunshine coming. We've had a big election in Australia now, so it's one less excuse, I think, for everyone to push it out a little bit more. But to be honest, it has given some companies a bit of time to reflect on their strategy in terms of what their platform looks like, how they're going to respond to those 2 letters, A and I, that are entering into the recruitment market as we speak today. So it's a ever-changing landscape right now, Justin.
Yeah, for sure. And look, I'm always curious to know what is setting the successful agencies apart. Like, what are you seeing from those agencies that are being successful?
Yeah, interesting. I think a lot of agencies who are being successful today have got a really solid foundation with their tech platform on the technology side. Okay, so we'll talk to that front first. Having a structured pathway from acquisition of candidate or client and moving them through stages, and then having your ecosystem support your team members to do the more human things has always been a mantra for recMate. And, the additions of AI will come, I think, at rapid rate of knots, 12 to 18 months. But my tip of the day is to get that base. Think of it as a skyscraper. You don't build the fancy penthouse first. You've got to get the construction, the ground floor, the subterranean done first, and then you can build that skyscraper next.
And you made an interesting point there. So the acquisition of new clients, I've actually come from a bit of a recruitment background myself previously, historically. And I know in my time, the way I would, I'd go about winning new business, I'd go out and shake a few hands, have a coffee in their office.
Yes.
And all of a sudden I become that cultural expert of understanding how their business works and operates. So I'm really kind of keen to understand, when businesses or the agencies that are successful, or even from your viewpoint, what you see, what makes them stand out, or what can technology play in terms of a role in that space?
Don't change any of what you just said about what makes you or what made you successful in recruitment. I think if we could focus more on that handshake, it's such a powerful lever for a business relationship, and being that trusted advisor is where we play.
Yeah.
So I think if you can emulate that trusted advisor mantra there, but where tech can come into play is it can cut through a lot of the noise to get to your target market a lot more seamlessly than it ever has. I mean, when I first started in recruitment over 25 years ago, there was a phone book and I went through that phone book. So that traditional start at the top and work through my way.
You dial the old yellow and white pages?
That's it. You're right. So today we are very privileged in our industry, and a lot of sales industries as well, to have technology to assist us get to our targets more efficiently, those who are ready to listen, okay?
Yeah.
But don't ever stay on one side of the screen is my tip. Those recruiters who are pressing the flash, meeting and greeting, having coffees, catch-up chats, meeting the internal teams as well is what will make you stand out in 2025.
Yeah, I like that. I think you can never remove that vibe check and that real kind of personalization side of things. 100% wholeheartedly agree.
Ironically, we help recruiters with their tech, but what we're really doing is helping them with the humanization more so of their business.
It's like humanizing the tech almost. It's like your tech is there to be your aid. It's not there to take away your job.
Exactly. And I think that's where AI is probably headed.
Yeah.
It should be my wing buddy. It'd be that whisper in my ear to say, hey, Andrew, you should be thinking about this. Or, hey, Andrew, this is what your next step is. Or, hey, Andrew, if you just sent another couple of resumes for this role, your chance of placing will increase from 37% to 49%, or whatever the stats might be. So I think that the evolution of where we are today of predominantly AI is used for acquisition of target market, perhaps. That nurturing piece is there, which is great. But I think that next stage of being my co-pilot, for want of a better term, is yet to be here for us.
Yeah. Look, I think we touched on that vibe check and, that personalization side of things. Do you see technology being able to play a role in terms of, going that one step further? So it's like, okay, we can have that vibe check. We can see, make sure that we've got the right understanding of how they, communicate and the like, but actually understanding how they work and operate. Do you see a role for technology there?
Yeah. Not only for me as a recruiter, but also helping me help my target market make that decision of either to, run a job with me or to accept the job that I'm offering them. What will be common in the next 3 to 5 years will be systems where I've got a job offer for you, Justin. Just before I pick up the phone to make that job offer, I'll get a dossier around the touch points of what will make Justin say yes. All the conversations we've had over the last X amount of years from different team members that have worked with you on your career will be at the disposal of AI, and it'll come together with a beautiful package of what's going to be best for Justin to hear to help Justin progress from offer to acceptance.
Yeah.
Likewise, on the client front as well, we'll have a lot of information to help us be a better partner with that business too.
Yeah. And when I was in recruitment, I know one of my biggest bugbears or the challenges that I had was I get hundreds, depending on what the role obviously was, but I get hundreds of CVs come in, especially for my junior to middle kind of level roles. And it'd be really hard to kind of navigate my way through that and understand what, is good. Do you see a role, and this is what I would have loved when I was doing that, something that can kind of screen, match and rank in that sense? So
it's happening happening now. That then allows me to get to that 430-second applicant, which could be the one.
Yeah, they come to the top of the funnel straight away.
Let's say Justin should call today, now.
Yeah.
So prioritize Justin. He matches at 99.9% threshold. Historically, you can't do that. You'll get exhausted after the first 50 applicants coming through the front door, meeting, screening, all that kind of stuff that we do. And by that 477th applicant, which could be the one, maybe not for this role, perhaps, but for role 2 or 3 down the track for me, typically I'd unfortunately not get to that person. Some recruiters may not even reject that person. They just might sit in a bucket.
It just never gets looked at.
Yeah.
It never gets
So
found.
unfortunately, the last brand experience some people have is the apply now button on a recruiter's website.
And they never hear back from them. Nothing ever happens.
Even the big ticket brand, my son was looking for a part-time job, applied to the major food chains, didn't hear from most of them.
And you know what the worst part about that is? Sometimes you get an email back 6 months later, and it's like, okay, well, I actually forgot about even applying for that role.
That's right. I don't know why they're calling me for.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Imagine though, if you could add another element to that. So yes, we can screen, match and rank, and that's based on the skills and qualifications to have the keywords that match, which is where we know a lot of AI is gone, but being able to find something that's going to be a cultural match as well. So an organizational fit. Yes. So looking past just what the actual skill set is, but are they going to match with the way that organization works?
Typically, I think you and I as recruiters have played that part to be that cultural match, person to, yes, they make all the technical ticks in the right boxes, but we've got to have that interview, have a chat and go, yeah, this person actually fit in. It fit Mary's team beautifully, got the right vibe, right background, etc. But to your point, I think there's technologies out there.
Historically, we've been able to do a pretty good job of that, though. I think it's recruiters, yes. But it is manually taxing. It is taxing on the brain. If you've got a solution there, though, they can pretty much do that for you, and that come back to that piece of your top 10 candidates that you want to call.
Yes.
Okay, they're a 90% culture match. Yeah. They work the way that we work. We can see where the kind of gaps are.
That's right.
How do you see that?
Well, I get to that 477th applicant pretty quickly because I'll be screened not just from a technical tick in the box, but also that cultural fit as well. So, we'll be ranking people not just on they've got these skill sets in their application or their resume, whatever it might be, but they also, through certain question and answers, be profiled so that we can get that cultural fit. It's difficult to do on scale without that extra technology.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of companies that I'm hearing, recruiters work with these companies, and often it's like, well, they want to have the data in front of them these days. So the data's become pivotal. So you need ways to get that.
Yeah, I was at a talk the other night, and it was Ross Clennett speaking, and he was saying data is going to be the most valuable asset that any business can hold. And encouraging your teams to put certain touch points, be it on the candidate front or the client front, into that customer journey. Well, then you buy the results in 2 or 3 years when these data sets will be mined by our AI agents. Yeah. And then having huge amount of upswing in terms of possibilities. And that could be marketing possibilities. It could be outreach possibilities for candidates that we haven't spoken to for a while, but we know actually they're the perfect candidate for this role based on their profile of 18 months ago or whatever it might be.
Yeah, no, that's really good to hear. And look, if you were working with an agency at the moment, what do you think they would say if they had a magic wand that could solve anything in the recruitment sector at the moment? What do you think would be the biggest gap?
Shut up and take my money is what they'd be saying. I guess the barriers for them might be, time and thinking about the implications of that. And that's where sometimes we get involved. We can sort of take that off their shoulders. But I think people are listening, but I think they might be a little bit hesitant at the moment to take the next step. So having a product that's almost like from a financial perspective, but also from an implementation perspective, too good to be true, it just would be a yes.
Yeah. And look, to be honest, based on everything you're saying, Component can actually solve a lot of those challenges they are facing. We can be that technology. We've got the ability to not only understand the skills and qualifications, which we spoke about before, but to really deeply understand how much of an organizational fit they're going to be.
Shut up and take my money.